Hi, I'm Dawn Neiman, and I'm going to help you prepare for teaching the vowel team OA and OW. The first thing you need to remember from your training is that OA says O in the middle. Now, it really says it in the beginning or middle. That's probably a bit too long for your students to be able to remember. So our little jingle is going to be OA says O in the middle. You will have to show them other words, perhaps on a second day where OA is coming at the beginning, like in oak or oath. And OW says O at the end of a word, just like you see in that word slow. Now, you're going to want to link what they already know to what you are about to teach them. So, for example, if you have already taught the vowel team IGHY and AIAY, and they already have the understanding that AI comes in the middle, AY comes at the end, you want to try and link that knowledge to what you are about to do, which is OA comes in the middle and OW comes at the end, just like they already know for the previous vowel teams. Now, for your students who are more visual or maybe they're more logic oriented, perhaps you take their alphabet and have them highlight the letters A and W and ask them, where does A come? Yep, it comes at the beginning. Well, OA comes at the beginning or middle. Where does the W come? Yeah, it comes near the end. Well, that's easy to help them remember because OW comes at the end of words. For your students who are visual, you're going to want to include a picture or have them draw a picture. So this example of the boat is slow corresponds to that tragic story of sail away and see the sea and the night sky and the boat is slow. And they've got this visual to help them remember. When they go to do trace copy cover, you're going to have them say that jingle as short, sweet, and possible to the point. So OA says O in the middle is going to be their jingle. You can definitely, as you are working through this rule, do what Orton-Gillingham used to do, which is the right-wrong test. And you can ask them, would it be spelled boat or boat? And they have to tell you OA. How come? Oh, because OA is in the middle. Okay, so would it be spelled grow or grow? Which one? How come? Because OW is at the end. You may even give them previously taught concepts like, is it spelled coach or coach? And you see both of them have OAs, but you see one has a CH and one has a TCH, and they have to tell you it would just be CH because that long spelling only comes right after a short vowel. As you are working with them, they should be able to read OA words and OW words, but also they need to be able to spell words that are OA and OW, and they need to tell you why they are spelled that way. You may also incorporate pictures or photographs of OA words and ask them not only to spell those words, perhaps use those words in a sentence, make sure that they understand what those words mean, and any words that they don't know, you're going to want to come back to again tomorrow and make sure that after you've shown them a visual that they remember what that word means. This page comes from Phonics Fixer on page 85, and it's a whole page of visuals like you can see so that your students can spell coast and coat and loaf and oats and just using the pictures. You may also provide them with this right-wrong test of is it blow, and you can see lots of different examples here. Also in Phonics Fixer, you will see that there is a place for students to practice reading a sentence. Can they comprehend the sentence? And then can they use their artistic ability and creativity to illustrate that sentence? You can also dictate words, and after teaching OA and OW, and perhaps this is where you're mixing them together, I would give them this column paper and ask them to spell a word. For example, if you say spell the word slow, they may have to go S-L-O. Where do you hear the O? It's at the end, correct. So are you going to use OA or OW? They tell you OW. Okay, how would you spell it? They say SLOW. Write it in that right column. And then you may even ask them, how come you didn't choose OA? You can give them a controlled text passage that has several OA and OW words, just to make sure at this point, since they are able to read, that you are having them read from a real chapter book probably at this point and not just a controlled text passage. Keep in mind that all students progress at a different pace, so if you have student A who progresses a little bit more slowly, you may have to spread this rule out over the course of 5 days. So for example, day 1, maybe your introduction of OA comes in the middle, but day 2, you may work in more sophisticated words, maybe words that have OA at the beginning. You may even have 2-syllable words if your students know how to divide words into syllables that incorporate that OA. Then you may spend 2 days more on OW before mixing them together. Conversely, student B might progress at a much faster rate, and so you may only need to spend a day on OA, a day on OW, and then 1 day with them mixed together. Remember that you are looking for a minimum of 90% accuracy or higher for both reading and spelling. So if they don't know it for spelling, they don't know it. So you may use this board game, which you'll find in the Google folder under Games, and mix together OAOW. You read a word to them, and they tell you, is it OA or OW? How come? And they move on to that spot. Then they read a word to you, and you tell them if it's OA or OW and how come it's that spelling. I hope that this has been helpful for you, and you will find that most of your vowel teams will be the exact same procedure.